We are so happy today to start our first webinar sessions of the Green Forward program. And we will, inshallah, have a lot of other sessions. So we started our first session with the Green Forward with our great panelists that I will introduce later on. Thank you for your registration, and I just want to inform you that this session is recorded. So if you miss any information, please keep following us on social media, on our social media, of course, and you will find the webinar. And also, we will provide you with an article later on with the key funding of the session. So my name is Afif Ajengi. I'm based in Tunisia. I'm the regional program manager of the Green Forward program, which is program funded by the EU Commission under DG MENA, with a consortium member composed by Expertise France, who are working mainly in the macro level of the Green Forward program. Spark, we are working mainly on the meso level with a target of the business support organizations. And also we have UNIDO with us, who are taking care of the micro level. And we are implementing in 7 countries: Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine. So if you want to know more about the Green Forward program, I also invite you to go to our social media on Spark, and you can just put Spark Green Forward to see more about that and follow our posts. And you can also be in touch with us if you want to collaborate or to know more about what we are doing. So first of all, I want to introduce the agenda. We will go through the session through 3 main sections. The first one, the policy environment for circular economy. So we have some questions for our panelists about that, and I will invite also our panelists to start maybe before the question to predefine a little bit the circular economy from their perspective. The second session, we will talk about the role of business support organizations. And here I will explain what are the business support, what do we mean by business support organization, and implementation gaps. And the third section, we will talk about the policy alignment, cross-border collaboration, and grassroots initiatives. So again, thank you so much to our dear panelists. We have with us Mrs. MENA Sabri. She is the environmental policy expert with Chemonics Egypt. We have also with us Mr. Maysam Otoum from the Jordan Country Director of SIWAS, Jordan. Dr. Ma'an, Engineer Ma'an Ali Ayasha, Director of the Center of Energy and Environmental Sustainability in the Industry of Jordan Chamber of Industry in Jordan. وكمان Mr. Faisal Kilani, who is the Environmental and Social Development Specialist for Envision Solution, and also working with Flow Accelerator from Palestine. Before starting the questions, I will invite you to introduce briefly yourself. So we will start with Minna, if you want to add anything, of course.
Thank you, Afif. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with Spark and Green Forward program and distinguished panelists and audience. I am Menna Sabri from Chemonics Egypt. I've been working in Chemonics for 10 years now. Chemonics Egypt is an engineering and management consultancy firm. Was established in 1992, and it operates in 16 MENA countries. We are sector specific, so we only work in the green sector, which includes waste management, sustainable agriculture, food production, sustainable transport, sustainable water management, and renewable energy. And I'm looking forward to diving into today's discussion on unlocking opportunities for green business support organizations and MSMEs. Thank you, Afif.
Shukran. Thank you for accepting the invitation as well. Hello, Mr. Ma'an.
Ma'an?
So, Ma'an, if you, Maysam, if you can introduce more yourself, then we go to Ma'an, then Faisal. And thank you again just I was thanking everyone for accepting the invitation, Dr. Ma'an, and presenting the agenda. So, Maysam,
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks, Afaf. Thanks, Husn, and everybody in the panel. I think let's have an hour and a half of learning. I hope that we as speakers add value. If not, then we expect you, the audience, to also add value by the great questions that you will send our way. Of course, the topic of today is is really critical because we hear a lot about green economy, circular economy, and it's good to frame it in some sort of a discussion that is beneficial for the enterprises, but also for business support organizations. I represent my organization, which is CWAS. CWAS is a Swiss NGO. We work out of Switzerland, but also have Middle East representation office in Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, and Iraq. And just like Minna said, we are a specific, sector-specific support organization focusing on green enterprises and green startups. And this is what we do. We cater for innovation. We try to help enterprises turn innovation into revenue-generating business models. And again, that's partly what we will be discussing today. Back to you, Afif.
شكرا ميسم. دكتور معن, يعني briefly if you can present yourself and GCI, then we go to Faisal.
Hello everyone, thank you for this interesting webinar and discover the opportunities of collaboration with other countries. I'm Ma'in, the Director of Center of Energy and Environmental Sustainability in the industry under the umbrella of Jordan Chamber of Industry, the umbrella of the industrial sector in Jordan, supporting the industrial SMEs towards a green transition and implementation of the sustainability actions and practices in the Jordanian industry. Actually, we are working in the different activities in the industrial sector, supporting them to implement different activities toward the working on the green economy, as we are implement and make partnership with stakeholders for supporting the industries. And also we are working as advocacy and lobbying agency representing the industrial sector against the governmental, local and international stakeholders. We are providing the needed technical support for the SMEs and green entrepreneurs, enabling them to be able to implement different resource efficiency actions and meet with the requirements of the exporting markets regarding the sustainability to reduce the environmental impact of the production processes as well.
شكرا معن for the presentation. Faisal, Mr. Faisal, so up to you.
Thank you, Afaf. Thank you, everyone. And thanks for the attendees for their time. Looking forward for a very fruitful discussion on circular economy and its potential in the region. I'm Faisal Kilani. I serve as the Managing Director for Envision Sustainability Solutions. We focus on supporting a different spectrum of either public or private sector in sustainable business solutions. I also act, and I'm presenting Flow Accelerator here, which is the implementing partner locally in Palestine for the Green Forward program. I also act as an environmental and social consultant for the World Bank, the AI Global, and other entities, both in Palestine and in the region. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Faisal. So now we will start with some questions, but before, let me explain a little bit what we mean with business support organization. So the business support organization, so with Green Forward, we are working more with to reinforce the capacity of business support organizations اللي هم they are mainly composed by different stakeholders, يعني أي organization or structure who support businesses. MSMEs, let's say, like it could be an accelerator, incubator, investment fund, bank, it could be a public sector, the private sector. So we are working more with this category or this community to reinforce the capacities more in the green sector, of course, and to work together on other enhancement of capacities and networking and collaboration opportunities. So my first questions would be to Minna. In your view, and also based on your experience مع Chemonix, how prepared are business support organizations to support the MSMEs in the green and climate sector? يعني today when you see them, for example, do you feel they are prepared well في الجرين, خاصة في الجرين والclimate, وإلا there is still need some work to be done? Do they have currently the expertise with willingness to effectively guide and assess the green focused businesses or not?
Thank you, Afef, for the question. As you said, so through our work, different projects with IFC, UNIDO, we were able to map and analyze the interventions offered by these entities to support clean tech solution providers across their stages. So when it comes to like startup to mid to late stage companies. And when it comes to sector-specific support, so we're talking here about the green sector, over the past decade, various international development organizations were the key. They played the key role in driving the launch and expansion of sector-specific incubation, acceleration, and BDS services and support programs for clean tech solution providers in Egypt. I think these include a lot of international donors. However, I think like UNIDO, UNDP, IFC, ILO, to name a few. And what we found is like general business support is there and it's abundant. So there is a good quality of foundational business development training and mentorship, covering areas like business modeling, marketing, fundraising. The network opportunities and access to finance is also there, like pitch events. Pitch events are very common, primarily connecting early stage startups and angel investors and VCs. However, there are a lot of critical gaps that still exist, especially for clean tech unique needs. So, for example, prototyping support. It's also there. However, it is limited for the hardware and manufacturing intensive nature of many of the clean tech solution providers. So that's one. Two, even though the capacity building is there, it often lacks deep embedded clean tech specific content, meaning the uniqueness of clean tech service providers, like in terms of business model and challenges of the sector, aren't fully addressed. Also, specialized technical advisory is largely missing. So clean tech firms are, like, through these 10 years, we've seen that clean tech firms are in need for deep technical assistance on areas like quality assurance, supply chain optimization, and appropriate technology selection. And these are important for them to achieve product market fit and to be able to scale. There is a significant gap, especially for the mid to late stage firms when it comes to technical advisory. So while there are several international donor-funded initiatives that integrate technical advisory into their programs, like, for example, Greenworks with HEVOS, Challenge Fund for Just Transition, Water Energy for Food. However, it does not cover the demand for such technical assistance. Also, access to finance is concentrated on early stage startups with insufficient support for mid to late stage as I mentioned. Networking also often fails to create crucial sector-specific market linkages, making it hard for clean tech firms to connect with buyers, suppliers, and integrate into the value chain. So to sum up, the current ecosystem remains heavily skewed towards the early stage startups with very few initiatives targeting SMEs. I would say 10 years ago, this wasn't even the case. So there wasn't early stage support for clean tech. So I think definitely there is like progress. However, those like at the end of the spectrum of like mid to late stage firms in clean tech specifically are lacking. There is not enough support for them. So I think this is the gap that we need to fill.
Nice. And you see that this gap, for example, is also we can see also this gap regionally, right? Like, for example, in
Yes,
countries like
for
Tunisia
sure.
or Jordan or Lebanon, in the
Yes,
clean
for
tech
sure.
sector, and also other
Yeah,
sectors.
yeah, because when it comes to BDS, also the clean tech sector is new. So how do you embed it in the general business? What you do is you adapt whatever you have to the clean tech sector, and you usually start with the small because it's easier.
Yeah.
And then when you go towards the mid to late stage, it's definitely the problematic area.
Okay. Thank you. I also want to invite the attendees, we have startups among us today, any support or idea that you see is missing from their incubators or accelerator, any business support organization, even yani investors, please, you can write us these ideas so we can also take them into consideration into our technical capacity to these organizations that they will support you later on. So I have my question now to Man. Now we go to the industry level a little bit. So how is the Jordanian industrial sector responding to the transition toward the circular and green economy? And are there any specific models or practices, for example, that other countries could learn from or from you as the Georgian Chamber of Industry? If you can, if you briefly, you can just tell us your understanding or meaning from you about the circular economy in general.
Thank you, Afaf. Actually, it's important to highlight on the experience of the Jordanian industry in this interventions at a circular economy focused on mainly in the industry, how to raise the implementation of the resource efficiency and how to decrease the cost as much as possible and be aligned with the international and exporting market requirements. In general, if we go back before 10 years, I think talking about circular economy and sustainability, it was like a luxury things. It was not convinced to the industry to invest in for example, energy efficiency technologies or water efficiency or whatever of the implementation of the practices. But after the different circumstances and based on the pressure of the international markets and development of different local policies and regulations, now it's the situation is totally different. The level of awareness, understanding about importance of the green practices is more for the industrial sector in Jordan. A lot of success stories already with different sectors, with different industrial establishments regarding the adaptation of the green practices in their establishments, as well as designing different initiatives and projects. Also support the industry to be aligned with such kind of practices. I would like to highlight on some of the practices or initiatives in Jordan. It could be learned from other countries because we did some attractive models to be maybe doubled or implemented again in other countries. In 2016, we launched in cooperation and partnership with the government, with JERI for Jordan Industrial Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Fund, the first model supporting from the government for the energy auditing in the industry, aligned with the updating the policies for verification or licensing the service providers of the green of the energy auditing service companies, which means now the energy audit itself as a first step of the energy management in the industry are being subsidized from the government, and after completing the audit as a diagnostic study highlighting the most measures of energy efficiency. Also, the program supporting the interest rates of the loans for special loans for implementing the energy efficiency in the industry. On parallel, we have also another supporting mechanism from the central bank supporting the interest rate of the sustainable practices if the factory would like to invest in renewable energy, in waste management actions, and in water efficiency. Also, there is a special rate from subsidized also from central bank. Going into our initiatives as a Chamber of Industry, also we exported a concept of networking from Germany in 2019, and we designed energy efficiency networks. It's like a coalition of a group of factories for best practices exchange and better experience knowledge sharing between the factories. 30 factories engaged in the activities of the energy efficiency networks. In 2022, we expanded the concept of networking, and we also launched water efficiency network as well as waste management network, these umbrella of the resource efficiency networks. A lot of initiatives raise the awareness, raise the understanding of especially the SMEs about the potential of controlling the consumption of different resources. And also now we also increase the interest from the industries because it's being requested from different international and exporting markets. In general, the Jordanian market is very small, so if any factory would also depend only on the local sales, it's not sustainable. So the exporting is the key solution for expanding and development of different industrial establishments. But to be able to compete in the exporting markets, especially the region markets like the Arab markets or Turkey or any near countries, the cost of resources is totally different. In Jordan, we have a higher cost in terms of energy, in terms of water, and also the most of the raw material also are being imported. So in general, going into using the resources more efficiently is the key factor for being able to success in the competition edge in the exporting markets. That's why such kind of implementation of circular economy needs also more adaptation from policies and regulation, different governmental decisions supporting such kind of transition into green practices in the industry. A lot of decisions like the program of supporting energy audits and interest rate, and also there is a tax exemption for the energy efficiency input to the production processes. There is a support from Ministry of Environment, from Ministry of Water, supporting or linkages the priorities for sustainability in the industry with different international programs also is the key factor to facilitate the potential of opportunities, as well as we have maybe mature green financing in comparison with other countries. We have more mature green financing sector. We have a different, also local banks have green financing initiatives, which also make a diverse potential of opportunities for industries for being able to implement the sustainability actions in their establishments.
And you've mentioned about, for example, the opportunities that the bank, for example, gives the special rates and also some taxes beneficial or benefits for, but this is applied to the industry, like to which kind of category? Is it MSMEs? Is it advanced organizations or advanced enterprises or?
Actually, the main focus, the main highlight and target is the MSMEs, because talking about large industries is not targeted in such kind of supporting, because large industries should be as a leaders in the implementation. So it should be the leading of the journey of green transition, because also the large industries have pressure more from international markets as well.
Yeah, okay. So for those who are interested also to develop their businesses in Jordan, it's good to hear this also a couple of information. Thank you so much, Dr. Engineer Maan, about sharing this, because it's really interesting to know. Yani, for example, if today we have an MSME in Jordan, in Lebanon, they want to, for example, implement their activity in Jordan. So this is very interesting to know, and you can search more and.
I would like to highlight or add 2 points. The first thing that we launched the Center of Energy and Environmental Sustainability as a green help desk or the hub for the MSMEs for direct them or guide them for such kind of opportunities. On other side, recently we have connection with different friends and people from other countries learning from our experience. Last year we had a delegation from Morocco, for example, regarding the water efficiency implementation. Also, we have from Palestine, some friends also asked about how we can collaborate to reflect your experience to their country. So we are flexible and ready and open to collaborate with any colleague from any country for having more detailed information about how to design such kind of attractive initiatives for the MSMEs for sure.
Thank you so much, Engineer Maan, and of course, our like dear panelists, if you have any opportunity also that you want to share with the attendees, we have like over 60 attendees with us, or any things for MSMEs or BSOs, please feel free to share. Now I will go to Maysam, Mr. Maysam. So, Maysam, you worked a lot with CWAS, with a lot of MSMEs and a lot of green startups, of course, across Jordan, across Lebanon, or across Iraq, and also across other countries. So what key support does these entrepreneurs need to integrate circular practices into their business model?
Well,
and
on
mainly the
yeah,
support, of course, from the business support organization or other يعني.
of course. On one side, maybe let's focus on, when enterprises want to develop solutions, either products or services that help other companies or entities, have adapt the production mode or the operation mode so that it is circular. Again, going back to the basics, when we say, a circular economy, this is, something that has to do with mostly material use, whether it's material that goes into production as raw material, if it's, byproducts or waste, regardless of what you call it, it's all material. So it's very important for enterprises and startups. Let's call it startups for now, to understand the basics. What are the rubrics? What are the typology of the different material that exist in different sectors and subsectors? For example, if I want to develop a solution, circular economy solution for the food industry, how is that different from a bank, for example? How is that different from a farm setting? So it all goes back to understanding the basics. So step one is to understand what is happening, what kind of material flow is happening in the different segments that they're trying to target. And what comes after is understanding the volume of the market, meaning, is there enough, metal waste, paper waste coming from that specific segment that I can work with and still make my operation feasible, which is really critical when it comes to circular economy businesses. What happens usually is that you come up with a great idea of recycling or upcycling or something that has to do with improvement of material. You give it a second life or extend the life cycle of the material. But in reality, the costs that are associated with the activities in terms of collection, sorting, and recycling, whatever process is happening, usually we are faced with the lack of understanding of the costs that are associated, which kills a lot of the sometimes the businesses. Despite that, we see a lot of promising, projects and startups that are, started to understand the logistical game of things, meaning they understand how to, what to focus. Because if you want to, use all types of material available for you, you're losing the game. You need to focus. You need to have, a good understanding on how to source the material and where does it go afterwards, and which stream. Again, this is more on the technical side of things, but without that, we're not really accomplishing anything. Well, our role as support organization is to make them understand the volume, the data, which doesn't necessarily happen as a spoon feeding process. We don't give them data, but we intrigue their minds to go and look for data and speak to the partners that has information. I send them to MAN, for example, to understand how does different industries deal with material, what opportunities are there, if there is something happening on the ground, because in the circular economy sphere, competition is not easy to navigate. You cannot, it's not like you're providing an education technology solution and you can just search online and find all the competitors and try to compare yourself against. When it comes to material and waste management, your competition most of the time is 80 to 90% hidden, and you spend a lot of time to get to a point where you understand it. I'll stop at this point and back to you, Afa.
Yeah, so just I want to add to you, Maysam, إنه the circular economy is not a trend. And the green also is not a trend. So that's why, thank you so much for explaining that the MSMEs like not يعني even in the North African context as well, يعني everywhere, let's say they are misunderstanding, they are so I would say they are so motivated, they want to do things, but they don't stop in the point that let's learn about the market, let's learn what's the different what's happening, how much this cost and this cost. يعني they don't, يعني there are some that they work very well on their business model, but they need to work very well on their business model literally before jumping to the let's say to the market. And this to minimize, also to limit a lot of risks for them and to limit a lot of mistakes for them. يعني إنه كونوا منظمين أكتر يعني. So also there is some other point, the coordination between the entity. This is very important also that you've mentioned. يعني for example, when the green startup or MSMEs work with the BSOs like CWAS, for example, it's very important that CWAS coordinate with GCI or coordinate, for example, with Chemonics or something like that. So then they can deliver, they can build the maturity of the startup and they can bring them to the next level. So this coordination between the business support organizations or entities, I think it's very, very important as well. Staying in the discussion about the startups and MSMEs, going to Mr. Faisal. So from your experience, Faisal, also I know that you worked a lot in other countries in the MENA region beside Palestine, أكيد. What's your experience, beside on your experience with working with MSMEs, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities maybe for MSMEs in adopting circular economy practices? We identified one of the challenges, the misunderstanding of the market. So if you can continue on Maysam about the other challenges, that would be good. And of course, opportunities. And if you have any opportunity with you, so please feel free to share it.
Yeah, I think this sums up a lot of the discussion, and we're talking about the bigger umbrella now. But as you said, Afaf, and as my colleagues in the panel said, I think that all these challenges translate into opportunities in a way or another. So when we talk about the challenges, especially in, let's say, Palestine or even broader in the MENA region, we have a conundrum between clear opportunities, low-hanging fruits, but still serious and challenging barriers for adoption. Going back to square one and perhaps summarizing what circular economy would basically mean, it's a regenerative system about having ultimately no waste out of any production process. Either we're talking biological cycles in agriculture, or even in production, such as reuse, upcycling, as my colleagues said, leasing, and other models. Challenges are endless, to be honest, but I think we can translate them into a lot of opportunities.
Let's pick, for example, two other extra challenges and talk about opportunities more.
Of course. When we talk about challenges, I think that we go on the upper level, especially when it comes to structures and policies across the region, and even in Palestine. And here I'm not talking about the absence of legislation, laws, or policies, strategies, etc. I'm talking about their translation into actual implementation and enforcement, because ink on paper is really nice in many of the countries in the region, but how to enforce them is the challenge that we face. And even now in Palestine, when we're talking about programs such as Green Forward or other ones implemented by UNIDO and other agencies, working with the private public sector is challenging because of the capacity of the nature and kind of outdated nature of these legislation. We're talking about legislation for products, specifications, etc., that are more tailored into a traditional linear economy rather than a circular one, such as like talking about complex waste permits, waste legislation, or even the product standards itself. A second aspect that we actually saw repeatedly over different surveys, different assessments that ourselves conducted as Flow Accelerator or Envision Solutions, and we've seen from other implementing partners, is the access to finance, and specifically access to green finance. This does not only translate into the financial instruments available, but also the upfront costs of transitioning into more circular models, either it's equipment, certifications, compliance, etc. I think two more points that I would add are related to the technical capacities that we have, specifically from our experience in Palestine, for example. This is something that has been highlighted by a lot of the BSOs that we work with. Either it's lack of TA as technical assistance, finding, I would say, a pool of expertise, as well as the specifications, machinery, and other aspects that the MSMEs that they work with need. And of course, lastly, the fragmentation of the ecosystem. Many times, specifically in either green or circular economy programs, we see so many different parallel programs that are ongoing without really proper coordination, which actually would add and multiply the benefits that we have. If we're going to talk about opportunities very briefly, unfortunately and sadly, I would say that for countries like Palestine, Lebanon, and other ones in the region, the natural resources scarcity is actually becoming a driver for this. So it's not a luxury as we used to talk about it many years ago, but more of a necessity. So water, waste management, even now in conflict areas, we're talking about rubble. Gaza, for example, we're talking about 50 million tons of rubble that were required decades to remove. And we need to be proactive when we talk about this. So we need to find solutions to actually either reuse, recycle, try to come up with models that can be implemented under circularity. A second thing is to hop on the emerging trends. The EU Green Deal spillover has actually touched the region. And we've seen it such as this program and other ones that are being implemented. And this leads actually that BSOs now have an entry point when it comes to these interventions, as they can translate these bigger complex terms that we use into simple SME tailored level solutions. Over to you, Afef.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, Faisal. So here I can summarize your point, of course, on يعني the challenges and the opportunities. Again, like I join your voice about the opportunities are not that much, especially in countries that we are like people are very resilient there, So we learn the resilience, but also we learn the green aspect, or we learn also the entrepreneurship mindset within this resilience, also communities as well and countries as well. So you talked about the policy and structure that are not that, every time, like with the regulations and so on, is not that sustainable, let's say, or not that the same. So every time is coming, for example, other decision makers could change things maybe. Today here I can say that everyone in the region and in the world we must translate toward the green. It's not like because of the trend. There are a lot of regulations signed, of course, and a lot of policies signed between countries and the EU or countries themselves. So we are obliged anyways to go toward the green. But I think this challenge will follow up, because countries need to follow up anyways and need to go there towards green transition. And the second point is the access to green finance as well. Mainly you said about the startups, for example, or MSMEs who are also going toward the green transition. Yani it's an SME, but they don't find, for example, easy access to finance. But here I just want to take from you, Faisal, Yani, for example, what will be your call to action, for example, for that? What's in your point of view, the thing that now with our what we have as on the ground, for example, can do in order to respond to this challenge of the access to finance in our countries, of course, in the MENA region?
We have, in my opinion, I think we have different levels of interventions, and some of them are really low-hanging fruits. A lot of the SMEs that we work with have viable models that can be actually implemented, and zero interest loans or green loans have been showing real benefit in countries like Palestine, for example. Agricultural loans are now booming as well. And most importantly, I think technical support as well. So to verify the viability of these interventions, there is a technical component besides the access to finance, which a lot of the SMEs that we work with actually require. So a combination of both access to finance, small grants, small loans, MFIs, all of these actually can help into, push circularity and green economy adoption more, as well as, of course, the technical expertise and technical assistance that they require.
Nice. And also maybe the cooperations as well, or the let's say the collaboration between MSMEs and cooperation or big companies as well. I think it's very important. Like, for example, now we can see very big companies, they have money, but they need solution for their company. For example, why they are asking for another big company to provide the solution or to do it, and why not buying the service from the startup or from the green startup, for example, to work on this. So this also, I think, other source of funding for them.
Yeah, we're actually, like very shortly, we're actually designing a program now. I think this would be a tangible example to give.
Yeah.
In the Jericho Agro-Industrial Estate in Palestine, we're developing and designing a program that is tailored to support between startups and SMEs and the large investors in the industrial estate. So
Yes.
we're targeting waste management, water recycling or gray water, and energy efficiency. So we will be matching kind of a symbiosis between small service providers and the large investors in the area, aiming to provide solutions mostly related to these three aspects.
Nice. Minna, I'm coming to you because I have a question for you, and you can, of course, add what you want to add. And also our dear panelists, يعني معا ميسم, Faisal, and Minna, please feel free to intervene if one of the question is very interesting to add any opportunity or anything that you want to add. So Minna, my question is, and you can, of course, reply to Faisal's points. In your point of view, how can the business support organization bridge the gap between the policy and also the implementation on the ground? So هلا فيصل حكى على structure with policies, for example, and this big challenge. And with the Green Forward, we know that the business support organization are the intermediary between the macro level and the policy and the government, but also between the micro level with startup. يعني هم, they speak the language of the startup, but also they speak the language of the governments as well. So how can we bridge this gap in your point of view between these two levels?
Thank you, Afif. If I may add to Faisal's point, he mentioned that with access to finance, there is an importance in technical advisory to the MSMEs. I think it's also important to give technical advisories to the financial entities, especially if they're like public banks or private banks. So we've had a program with IFC, and we were able to actually it was about solar pumping and the market sizing of the solar pumping in Egypt, because we have a lot of diesel pumps and agriculture in desert areas. So we did the market sizing, but we also, what we did is we supported the companies who provide the solar pumps, and we supported the banks as well. Because if you go to the bank and tell them, I am a solar pumping company and I would like to get a loan, they would be like, what's solar pumping to begin with? What's the return on investment? They don't get it there. For them, it's new. It's like science fiction kind of situation. So what we did also is to sit with the banks, and we gave them like an awareness session about the clean tech products, what the return on investments, and what we were able to do is, or at the end, the achievement was that the banks published products that we had them develop to give loans to the farmer to buy the solar pumps. So that was a very big success case for us, and I think we've been doing this vigilantly to give also technical assistance to the financial entities. As for your question, Afif, I think policy has always been like this black box kind of complicated topic, but I think with BSOs, three different interventions could be done. And I will also give you an example of what we were able to achieve through these interventions. So one is BSOs can give voice to SMEs of the challenges that they are facing because of the policies. And definitely give them also voice when it's available for them to be there while we're designing policy. And the third one is conduct awareness sessions for MSMEs regarding like complicated policies that complicates their life. So from one side, BSOs should make sure that SMEs have a voice when it comes to the barriers they face from a regulatory point of view. So, for example, through one of the projects that we worked it's inclusive green growth in Egypt. It's a UNIDO project. So at the beginning, we conducted like a policy analysis report, which included reviewing current policies and regulations in 3 specific subsectors. It was waste management, sustainable agriculture, and sustainable energy. And when it came to identifying the gaps within the policies that we've mapped, like 99% of the challenges were through interviewing service providers in these specific 3 subsectors. So we've interviewed them. Because also sometimes they have a problem, but they cannot identify where is the source of this problem. So we did a lot of interviews with them to identify what kind of challenges that they're facing. And accordingly, we were able to give recommendations. And as a consequence, UNIDO then tackled the most persistent challenge, which is, as also Faisal mentioned, the product standards. And they worked with the Ministry of Environment, Egyptian Organization for Standards and Quality, to issue standards for biofertilizers, which are typically produced from organic waste. And within this part of the policy design, you need to make sure to involve the service providers in these discussions. And actually, as good news, these standards are actually already published. On another end, I think awareness sessions for complicated policies and how they affect the SMEs would be useful, definitely for the companies, to bring it down to earth and simplify it, and so that they understand what the implications are and how can they maneuver around them. I think another part is also for an example, there is this international regulation like CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which is an EU initiative that aims to put a price on the carbon emissions embedded in certain goods imported into the EU from non-EU countries. So BSOs can actually support SMEs. They do like awareness level sessions and to simplify these policies that seem very complicated, definitely, to simplify them. So, for example, SMEs would be able to export their products. So basically bring it down to earth, because policy, especially in Egypt, policy is like, a very complicated topic that nobody likes to go even close.
Same in all countries. And also startups, they don't understand, they don't want even, they resist to understand the policies. It's like they feel, in general, of course, there are exceptions, but they feel like it's something وحش كسر, what is it? So better to speak their languages as well. Thank you so much. And when you're talking, I feel like we need to do a barlaman for SMEs.
Wallah, it will be
us to
helpful
talk.
for that.
So anyway, so thank you so much. So we talked about the voices for SMEs, and this is very important because the business support organization, again, they understand the language of startups, but also they understand the language of the policy, the governmental level. So it's very important to translate this to them. They also have a big role of advocacy, as you said, Minna, through your, of course, presentation as well. So if there is, of course, there are some startups here, I recommend you, or highly recommend you, to talk with your incubator, accelerator all the time about what you want to see in the macro level, of course. So maybe this business support organization اللي بتساعدكم can help and yeah, so I try to resume all of this. Ma'an, do you want to say something? And Maysam, I saw him saying something.
Just wanted to add, because it's
Yes.
interesting that usually, just like you and Minna said, also Faisal mentioned that we have well-developed policies in, at different levels. And yes, the startups are trying to avoid going through that, because for them it's just somehow going backward. Because if we tell them, you cannot do this, for them, we as business support organizations are some kind of trying to fail them. But it's our responsibility and role to actually do that. So on one side, to make them understand what policies exist, what policies affect their business model, on the other side, which we had cases like this before, that sometimes not understanding policies well could lead them to giving up too early, because they feel that, I have to have a comprehensive environmental impact assessment for my
By the
project.
way, they use, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then they say, okay, it's not gonna work. What happened in one case that we intervened and we went to talk to the public stakeholder, and we realized that, licensing is not as complicated as the startups think it is. However, we need to abide by some, requirements, and we need to be in a different zone, which is still, doesn't ruin the whole concept of the business, but they need to be adaptive, and that's one of the things, they need to understand, and they need to, again, not to, transfer the responsibility from us as BSOs to the startups. Of course, they need to understand the basics. It's our role as technical business experts to make them understand that what works and what doesn't. And sometimes we need to be a mediator. We need to play the mediator role to a certain extent.
Thank you, Maysam. Thank you so much. يعني ما لازم نستخف بالpolicies as well. This is what we can say, because maybe there are some regulations أو فما قوانين ممكن يكونوا يساعدوا. I will speak just شوية عربي إنه ممكن يساعدوا, or they could support and help the MSMEs later on. our role as business support organization to translate this بطريقة سهلة للMSMEs, but also the role of MSMEs to understand them, وحتى يحاولوا to understand these regulations لو locally or يعني في البلد of implementation, ولا حتى if they want to develop their businesses outside of the countries as well. Because if you are a startup now in Jordan, you want to go to Egypt, for example, it's very important for you to understand these policies. You can go to be a business support organization, or you can also do it yourself. طب هلا I will go to Ma'an, and Ma'an, if you have anything to add, of course, please, you are so welcome to add about this point. We will go a little bit later on about some policies as well. But here I want to see with your work, of course, with the Chamber of Industry, what mechanism or incentives have proven effective in engaging MSMEs and industry leaders in sustainability. So we need here to hear from you some lesson learned, let's say, or some inspiration also from the great work that the GCI did, of course, in Jordan.
Thank you so much. Actually, just I would like to highlight also on the role of the BSOs, especially that we focused on the rules of different institutions that they are providing the SMEs the needed supports for such kind of practices, especially that different SMEs, they need more technical support for raising their awareness, and also for being able to utilize the opportunities available. On other side, the networking and linkages between SMEs, one of the significant tools that BSOs can play in the market. But going into the different mechanisms for making proper incentives for the SMEs, for going into the green practices, a lot of mechanisms could be addressed, especially that first of all, we have to analyze the current situation, either for the mature enterprises, or for new or small enterprises, for adaptability of the green practices. On other side, we can highlight on the splitting between the existing SMEs and the new SMEs. Going into the policy part, if the policy formulate or organize the requirements for any new establishment to follow the green practices, the implementation of the waste management plans for water efficient water equipments, energy efficient equipments. So we can go to start like environment of commitment or alignment with the requirements, and going back into the existed SMEs to raise their awareness and linkages with them and promote the success stories, especially for the new establishments. Here, one of the mechanisms how to promote the best practices, and usually more than having webinars and presentations and trainings and capacity building, the most effective way is to having a mechanism of promoting the best practices by learning by doing. That's why when we established the, for example, the networks mechanism, one of the more important objectives is to raise the concept of learning by doing, learning the SMEs by having them potential to see what others already implement and achieve in the practices. On the other side, some of the important part, the infrastructure of some needed services. For example, laboratories is important infrastructure for having evidence and monitoring. For example, if we call any product as a green product, what's the reference to call any product? What's the standard? So going into the laboratories and making proper testing for the products to call them as a green products or eco-friendly products, for example, or eco-labeling for the products. All of these interconnected issues are very important. From other point of view, also we have to highlight on the raising the capacity of the staff or the new generation or the new graduates. So going to the curriculum of the universities or practical academic institutions or vocational institutions, because when we'll have a new blood in the establishments or in the SMEs with a high awareness about the implementation of the green practices, I think also one of the effective mechanism, if we already prepare the new generation with the high skills, especially that a lot of green practices are considered like a new technologies. Going into, for example, utilization of the green hydrogen applications, for example, or the new water efficient equipments or new wastewater treatment techniques. All of these new technologies need to adapt the curriculum of the practical academic institutions to meet the requirements of the market based on the going into the training or raise the capacity of the new graduates by new skills and needed skills adapted or updated with the new technologies.
Yes, so this is very interesting, man. And I'm thinking honestly that we can do a webinar one day about the green practices as a new technologies, because it's really important. Yani, it's very, very, very linked now. Yani, now everyone talking about AI, whatever, but also one talking about the green. But how are the green practices are even in our generation, hatta young generation are now using this green practices. It's kind of new technologies also in our countries everywhere. And about also the preparing the generation, of course, with the high skills and the laboratory, or we can call, for example, also the green fab lab. يعني
Yeah.
احنا we heard a lot about the fab labs, يعني mainly when the entrepreneurship was booming يعني 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But why not a green fab lab?
I
So
would
then
like
they
to highlight
can,
on 2 points.
yeah,
First of all, we already, as a Chamber of Industry, we started since 2019 by conducting a gap analysis of the needed green skills, especially related to energy in the industry, with what already practical training service providers are offering to the market, to put
yeah,
where are the gaps, what the
yeah.
development areas. From
Mhm.
other side, also we are in connecting with practical universities who already have such kind of fab labs to guide their activities and infrastructure to be able to align with the green practices in the industry, like Al Hussein HTU, the Hussein University, and also German Jordanian University. So we have like also like starting with designing success stories in the alignment of the collaboration between the industry and the academia in this area. From other side, also I would like to highlight on important point that the new generation or the new graduates, if they have the proper skills, they can make the changes in their establishments, in the new establishments, especially that going into the SMEs, usually most of them are categorized as family business. So the change inside from it should be come from inside the establishment, from the new graduates, to highlight on the opportunities in the green practices as well.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Maan. Maysam, I'm back to you and then to Faisal. If the time allows us, we can ask the other questions. If not, I can choose one question to ask to ask it to all of you. So then we can open it to the Q&A for our, of course, participant. But in the meantime, for participant, please, if you have any questions, write it down. Yani, if you seek any opportunity or you have any other question, please let us know in the question section. Write the name of our panelists, because they are really they are experts, and they are يعني they know they have a big network also with them. So put their names and connect with our panelists on LinkedIn as well. If you want to also enter with them into a discussion. So Maysam, incubators and accelerators, of course, are considered as business support organization, right? So in your point of view, what role an incubator or accelerator could play in shifting mindset and enabling innovation in green and circular sector? And do you see any gap in the current relationship between BSO and MSMEs? Yani?
There isn't a gap if we have the right technical capacities within the BSO to support, because again, we cannot support businesses in a generic format when it comes to deeply technical topics. And that's what's missing. And I like the fact that the Green Forward program is tackling that specific topic, which is enabling, sector, agnostic BSOs to have some capacity within like in-house to be able to provide that kind of technical coaching and business development support. To shift the mindsets, again, one way to look at it is to go to the business model that they're trying to build. One of the common mistakes is that everybody's trying to do everything, meaning that they want to take the material along the value chain, make changes, make money along the way, and have a final product, which doesn't work in today's world, unfortunately, because it would be too costly for them to develop that much of a comprehensive solution. So that's one thing. The second is to also diversify, to go from only waste management, waste recycling, to resource efficiency that helps them expand the market that they can serve. Because circularity is not just about solid material, it's also about water reuse. It's about being efficient in your energy performance as a company, as an industry, manufacturing company, whatever. Maybe another point is to also consider consulting services as a business model sometimes. You don't have to take the material, store it, process it, make it into something else, and then sell it. Sometimes you are the advisor to the company. And in that case, the circular practice will happen within the company. As a good example is a consultant visiting a manufacturing company that does textiles. And that consultant can either advise on the design of the shirt, the pants, whatever they're trying to make, to reduce the losses in the material, or think of a secondary product that the company can do and still make money by only doing consulting. He or she doesn't have to have a storage place. They don't have to license a big facility. They can do consulting, which can be a proper business model. There's no harm with that.
Thank you so much, Maysam. It's really interesting what you just said. Like the consultancy part is very, very important. Faisal, I'm coming to you with the question, and you can answer also or add to Maysam. How can business support organization, Faisal, better engage with local MSMEs? يعني what's your advice here? How they can engage مع ال MSMEs to promote أكتر green innovation despite the limited resources ولا the political instability. يعني today, for example, in a lot of countries, I think most of our countries of implementation have like limited resources and political instability, يعني most of us. So how can we do that? So the BSOs to better engage with local MSMEs to promote the green innovation despite these limited resources and policy instability. And you can, of course, add to Maysam Akid.
Thank you, Afaf. Yeah, adding to what Maysam said, actually, it's very interesting, and I'll get to the question after, because no cost, not even low cost, but no cost interventions have proven very, very successful in many experiences. And one example that I would like to highlight for our attendees as well to maybe take a further and deeper look at is some of UNIDO's interventions under SwitchMed. So under SwitchMed, they did the test toolkit for circular economy, and they trained a lot of experts and specialists on it. And we've seen some examples, for example, in Palestine, savings of hundreds of thousands of euros per year, just with no cost interventions, such as turning off the main pumping stations at weekends and using the secondary ones, changing the packaging instead of all this fancy color labeled packaging that is thrown into trash, minimizing it with more low-cost interventions, black and white printing or no printing at all. So more of resource efficiency, as also Maysam said. This has resulted in serious hundreds of thousands of euros savings for a lot of MSMEs. It's energy, resources, and all of that. So I think actually consulting models, experience, technical assistance have a big role to play with circular economy adoption. Now, back to the question, I think in terms of how BSOs can actually better engage with MSMEs, I think half of the answer is already in the question. Because engagement, stakeholder engagement. And this has proven very successful with a lot of the projects that we worked with. For example, the World Bank's Environmental and Social Framework, one of the standards that are applied across all projects is stakeholder engagement and information disclosure. So we talk about engaging with two levels, the affected parties and interested parties. And I think this significantly changes all of the project designs that we work with when we hear from the MSMEs what their actual needs are. And the second part is disclosing all this information and dynamics of stakeholder engagement, keeping them involved, listening to them, and assessing their needs continuously, because these are dynamic, they change. And back to a point our colleague, Mr. Mann, also mentioned, is not only having these trainings or workshops, changing also the models that we deliver information and assistance through. So he discussed on-hands implementation. Also, we can talk about applied coaching, because workshops are good for a certain purpose, but not always. In workshops, we mostly put everyone at the same level, and we assume that they all need the same information that we will deliver, because it's agnostic, right? We're not delivering tailored solutions. When we talk about applied coaching, for example, we talk about long-term impact. We talk about tailored solutions for each MSME or each startup by itself, and providing them with tools. And this is something we're actually seeing now in the Green Forward implementation in Palestine, is that a lot of our participant BSOs are actually more interested in the toolkits, more interested in the methods and everything that they can actually start to apply themselves. And a second thing, or the second part of the answer, is partnerships, whether it's public-private partnerships, whether it's bilateral partnerships between not only BSOs themselves. This is something that we're actually implementing in Green Forward, right? We're doing the peer pods for BSOs, but there is a second aspect that we can actually start considering is pods for MSMEs as well. And this is something we've seen personally firsthand in trainings and coachings that we do. We're talking about, for example, a very relevant thing that we were just discussing, licensing, regulatory adherence, compliance, all of that. And we see startups or MSMEs actually, if they hear that one of them went through the process, they stop listening to us as coaches or trainers, and they start discussing, how did you do it? What did you go through? Which documents did you submit? So this is a platform that we can actually, I think, promote, and it will be very beneficial, both on the BSO level and the MSME level. And last but not least, I think one of the other important points that I should raise is in conflict-ridden regions, countries, and different LGU levels. Even when we have limited resources, political instability, no BSO can be a provider by itself. We need partnerships with universities, we need partnerships with research centers. And as BSOs, we need to stop only thinking of ourselves as providers, but rather also brokers, meaning that we provide the MSMEs and the startups, the entrepreneurs, institutions that we work with, not only with the support that we, under our mandate, can provide, but also connections and platforms to reach out to other BSOs, institutions, research centers, universities, even government institutions as needed.
Totally agree with you يعني يعني totally agree with you about يعني احنا I think in the ecosystem or throughout this years, for example, the ecosystem, I don't know, but I saw it like that from the beginning. We were like you said now, for example, all working together. We all have this dream. We're all talking about the entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial, blah blah blah, and everyone is working with everyone. Then it happened like a period where, or like يعني وقت إنه everyone is like working by themselves, you know, every BSO just looking for grants and money and then just implement to satisfy the donor. And now we are back also to this discussion of the first discussions, like, no, it doesn't work mono work for BSOs. We need to work together as stakeholders as well. We need to create this partnership. We need to develop these tools as well for everyone. So for startups also to not get the startups lost, because now we see that the same startup go to take, for example, a course with the CWAS and then go to Flow Accelerator and then go to the other incubator and then go to the other accelerator, but taking the same topics and same things, you know. And also chasing some grants because they need also to access to find. If they don't take this trainings, they will never take this funding or small fundings for them. المهم. Yes, Faisal, do you want to add something else? And then here we can...
Just adding to what you said and the discussion before, and this is not only talking about the local level, talking
Yes,
about regional activities such as this webinar and the other ones to come are actually a good platform to connect BSOs from Jordan, from Palestine, Lebanon, all of the region, North African countries together, because someone somewhere have gone already through that experience. And it's
100%.
very useful to share our experiences together, tailor them to our context, but a lot of the effort would have already been done before.
صح. And here I want to invite also again our participants and also people who will see this webinar to connect with our speakers today, to connect with the organizations of our speakers today. يعني Chemonics Egypt, for example, they did a lot of great article research reports and other work as well. Of course, Envision, of course, and Flow Accelerator and CWAS and GCI. So connect with them and try also to learn more from their work. So me, I will not ask, unfortunately, the third section of questions because the discussion was very interested, but also we want to respect the time. But I chose honestly one question that I want to just 2 minutes or 1 minute to respond on it, which is how do you see the role of cross-border collaboration between the countries in the MENA region in scaling circular solution? يعني today we're talking about 7 countries or MENA region. So how do you see this kind of cross-border collaboration could be? I can start with Minna, and then Ma'an, then Maysam, then Faisal. But just 1 minute, يعني. Just one.
Thanks, Afif. I think, yani, as we usually do, like see for each country what are the gaps and see who has these available resources or whatever we need to fill this gap and just collaborate, because as the MENA region, it's funny how we do not collaborate enough, to be honest.
But we saw great results when we're collaborating. يعني we have
Exactly.
really يعني yes. Ma'an, 1 minute. So we're talking about the cross-border collaboration. يعني how do you see the cross-border collaboration between countries? يعني the role of this
I
cross-border.
think we can address the success initiatives and make it on regional level. For example, the concept of any initiative in any country, it could be implemented on a regional level. It could raise the potential of collaboration between borders, especially that Spark role, for example, to have such regional project with 7 countries. It could be maybe adapt one of the initiatives to be implemented through the border countries. I think it's one of the potential areas to collaborate, to make linkages between the similar SMEs between each countries, especially that a lot of best practices, it could be doubled or expanded or being implemented in other countries if it succeeded in a single country.
Yes. Now Maysam and then Faisal. In the meantime, we finished here, so I invite our participant to put their questions for the last 15 minutes or 14 minutes of the questions. Maysam, up to you.
Just simply putting it, the circular economy sphere is too big for few startups or SMEs to have utilize the full potential of it. Meaning that there is always competition, but we can always learn from other business models within the country itself, like Palestine to Palestine, Jordan to Jordan, or a business model that works in Tunisia that can be still working in Jordan, keeping in mind, of course, different policies sometimes. But we have tried that at CWAS, that we link different entrepreneurs from different countries. If they're doing the same thing, there has been a cross learning and it was really beneficial. One example is Egypt and Jordan, where we had a company who's utilizing food waste into feed for the poultry farming industry. We have started a similar company, or helped start a similar company in Jordan with a bit of technical support from our side, a bit of financial support from other partners. So it works, meaning that if something is happening in Tunisia, I'm sure it can happen in Morocco. I'm sure the Libyan context now is still, has a lot of potential that hasn't been explored enough. So let's do that. Thanks.
Shukran. Faisal?
I think the panelists really covered a lot of the aspects, but as we said, this can be actually a very wide topic to discuss. But I think, in my opinion, one of the key aspects that we can do is leverage regional players. So on the macro level, government to government, with assistance from regional actors, I think this can be done on the meso level, for example, through Spark and other organizations and players in the region. Because if we talk about the micro level, then it is seriously a mess to have entrepreneurs, MSMEs, or startups engaged in a really effective way. But on that level, I think that utilizing existing programs, players with regional expertise, through their connections, through their needs assessments that are usually done regionally, we can have a maximized impact of collaboration between countries that can offer solutions for gaps that exist in countries which they already treated and dealt with before.
Thank you so much, Faisal. And also, again, thank you so much, dear panelists, about your time and about all the exchanges. I like we're all synchronized about what we discussed as well, and a lot of inputs that we will translate them into a great report later on. So we will maybe translate this report in French as well for the French-speaking people, or in Arabic. So we will see internally. But there is a lot of common takeaways from this discussion. Very interesting that we learn from each other, all the countries' best practices as well, and that for us also as Spark to try to implement or make it into concrete actions. So we have a question. I think this question is for Spark, from Ayman Al-Wahab. Are there any specific components with the Green Forward program that focus on sustainable agriculture or circular practices in the agriculture sector, particularly in countries like Libya? Yes, well, in country like Libya, for example, we have a partner in Libya. So keep following our Spark LinkedIn page, also social media, because we will announce the partner very, very soon. So there will be some opportunities, of course, for the business support organizations in Libya, AKID, and for MSMEs as well, focusing on sustainable agriculture, focusing on circular practices, but focusing like on the green and circular economy overall. طيب, we have two other questions maybe. And by the way, thank you, Hosn, our colleague from Spark, to put the LinkedIn profiles of our speakers on the chat box. So if you want to connect with them, please go to their LinkedIn and connect with them. Asil talking about, I'm Jordanian and I want to start a business in Egypt. Who should I contact and where can I get support? Who wants to answer?
I think we need more details, like what kind of business, which sector, which, yeah, it needs more information. So you can contact me through LinkedIn and I can answer your questions.
Thank you so much, منى. For شفاء, رقم تليفون منظمة سبارك فرع الأردن واللينك صفحتها فيس. Okay. شفاء, you have my LinkedIn profile. How there is link في رابط على اللينكدين, فممكن تبعتي لي and بنحكي مع بعض إن شاء الله, و I guide you يعني على سبارك الأردن. Okay, so I think don't know, like if you have any other questions. Okay, how about waste management in Libya? Okay, there are two other questions, I think. How about waste management in Libya in future? I don't understand your question بصراحة مريم. ولكن what I can say now, Libya, the good thing that Libya now they are advancing on the green component, on the green and circular economy mainly. يعني it's a fresh, let's say, space in Libya. يعني لسه fresh, now learning more. يعني في business support organization working on some program or very small program على green, ولكن لسه مش كتير بس they are now more and more doing that. And also that's why our role for Spark for this green forward also to go we are also based in Libya to make more business support organization within the green sector يكونوا موجودين كمان. ف keep following us. Ahmed, Dr. Ahmed Lahib from France, PhD atmosphere. The local pollution pushed for stronger enforcement of environmental regulation, ideally in the line European standards. So this could an effective step toward real environmental. Sorry. Standards to help reduce emission. This could be effective step toward real. The Spark support project like this. يعني project like environmental project you mean, صح؟ Yes, for Spark احنا we يعني now for example the green forward its main let's say target beneficiary is the business support organization. احنا بنشتغل يعني we work mainly مع ال business support organization مع ال meso level, but also indirectly we work with some startups through testing a toolbox that will be developed through our program. But as Spark كorganization we have a lot of programs. يعني for example Libya Startup, ENI and other programs that supported a lot of projects like this, like green projects, but also innovative project and IT project and so on. يعني I can tell you more if you want, Dr. Ahmed, so you can keep in touch with me and I can guide you more through this. Thank you for your comment, Engineer Alaa. Conducted a study adopting. طب Engineer Alaa, she was saying that the session was truly insightful and enriching. Thank you. I would like to highlight the importance of establishing regional platform for knowledge exchange among sustainable development actors, which is strong focus on adopting solutions that are tailored for the local context rather than import external model without proper adaptation. However, encouraging partnership between public and private sector as well as academic institution is essential for transforming for transferring knowledge, showcasing successful practices, etc. Empowering youth and civil society is vital. Young people should be supported as key driver of the environment, social, etc., etc. I'm conducting a study on adopting the green economy model as a tool for sustainable development, and I would be glad to share insights from as part of the dialogue. That would be great, Dr. Ala. Yani, if Engineer Ala, if you want to share your study, that would be great, and we can also share it as Spark from our end, and also share it with our panelists with them as well. LinkedIn يعني لما تطلع شوي في الشات حسن if you can just copy paste again the LinkedIn to everyone so they can find it. I think we are fine with questions, but again, like if you need more details, please reach out to us. We will do more webinar sessions, inshallah. Next time we will have more panelists from also North Africa. We will try to tackle different aspects from the SMEs to BSOs to policy, etc. Please keep following us and following our panelists as well. Thank you, Minna. Thank you, Ma'an. Thank you, Faisal. Thank you, Maysam. Thank you, Hassan, also our amazing communication person at Spark who did all this work. Thank you so much for that. Let's keep in touch. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Afif, and thank you, Husn. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you.
شكرا
And keep
للجميع.
following
Thank
us.
you, everyone.
We will put this on our social media, يعني the webinar, if you need more details.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Afaf,
everyone.
Hassan, attendees, and colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.